What's up, YouTube? It's Logan, the drunken metalhead who muses, but this time it's not. You know what? New year, new beer, new me, kind of. I'm deciding to rebrand just a little bit. I'm going from drunken metalhead musings to the Metal and Beer Snob. I think that kind of highlights the true direction I would like this channel to go in, and kind of me to go in as a person. I'd rather be a little bit more snobbier about what I drink and a little more selective, and maybe not drink as much in the process. As far as metal goes, fuck it. I got no issues there. I am happy with my current metal selection, but maybe I want to go into a bit more detail with some of my future videos and make them a little more thought out and stuff. We'll see what the future has in store. I'm taking the beginning of 2024 as a chance to do a little tweak to the channel. Cheers, thanks for watching as always, and let's dive in. We're going into the metal tag for 2024. But truthfully, I'm not any different where it counts. Not here in the face, but here with the beer. Just trying to be a little more coherent while producing content. And living, I guess. But yeah, here's a classic beer for me, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. This is Jam Session from Noda Brewing. This was quite the Christmas present for me. From Charlotte, and one I'm happy to share on the stream. It's like a session pale ale, so it's like 5% and still has all the flavor of a good IPA without any of the actual bite. Honestly, it's perfect for a chill night where you're not trying to get to Planet 9, but you still want to have a beer and enjoy some good tunes. Cheers, all. Also, don't mind the caterpillar that's hovering somewhere around here. It won't be there too long. The metal tag has been a long-standing tradition for the metal VCLT and really just the metal YouTubeverse in general for a couple of years now. And most of this is thanks to a dude called the Rock Scout. He's done the metal tag for the past couple years, created all the questions, put out their first video, started the madness, if you will. This year, he's taken a break for whatever reasons, and thankfully, we have some people who are taking up the mantle for a new metal tag for 2024. And of course, I'm talking about the dudes at Heavy Metallurgy, Marty and Alan, with the helps of Metal Mickey. So here we go, 20 questions with the goal of getting the metal YouTubeverse out of its shell a little bit and talking about some interesting parts of their collection. So, cheers to you guys, and let's dive in. So for question 1, we're talking about a release that we're eagerly anticipating in 2024. And I've got a couple I'm going to name real quick. The new Replicant album, I'm really excited for. Replicant are like a technical death metal band with a lot of focus on dissonant riffage. Really unique sound. And then of course the new Spectral Voice album. Spectral Voice, kind of like a supergroup, if you will. Death Doom with Funeral Doom in there. Really excited. I'm excited for the new Borknagar album. This has been my favorite Borknagar release since I heard it when it came out, Winter Thrice, so I've been a fan of all of their current output since then. And then also the new Obsessed album, also on Relapse like this one, their previous Sacred. So 2024 is already looking pretty good. Speaking of 2024, It's the year of the dragon. If you're celebrating the Chinese New Year, that is. And we're gonna show off a album with a dragon on the cover. And here we go. This is Howling Giant's latest album that came out last year, 2023. Still weird saying that. Glass Future. And there we go. Quite the majestic looking beast on this. And it definitely fits the music, which is like adventure rock with a bit of metal tension in there. Some intense metal drumming. But then mainly just catchy chorus after catchy chorus. Some prog influence here too. Alright, question 3. What were my favorite pickups from 2023? So I'm going to show 2 because I felt like it was, on one end talking about, what was your album of the year for 2023 that you bought? For me, it was Dozer's latest album, Drifting in the Endless Void. Their first album in over a decade, and it easily lived up to the hype and then some. Probably my second favorite Dozer album, and contains one of my all-time favorite Dozer songs in Missing 13, the closing track. The other purchase I made earlier in the year while I was out in Reno, Nevada, this is Running Wild with their album Death or Glory. And honestly, I'm just real happy to have any Running Wild in my collection. This is the first one I was able to pick up and find, and to me it might be their best. It's either this album or Under Jolly Roger. Haven't figured out which one I like better, but with tracks like Renegade, Running Blood, Highland Glory, Bad to the Bone, and of course Battle of Waterloo, you can't go wrong with this. This is a classic heavy metal, speed metal, pirate metal, whatever the fuck you want to call it, album. I've really missed out on Running Wild just because of not having any CDs or anything on physical format. So, glad to finally have this one. Next question, question 4. Was there a title in 2023 that you were satisfied to purchase digitally and not on physical media? And yeah, I hate to say it, but there were a bunch. In fact, I had 2 albums in particular that were in my top 10 favorite of the year that I didn't bother buying physically and instead just streamed on Spotify. These albums, of course, were Sulphur Aeon, 7 Crowns and 7 Seals, and Phaedra, Militant, Penitent, Triumphant. And really, the main reason was shipping and just where these distros were located at. If in the process of buying the CD it's over $20, chances are I'm not interested. Hopefully I'll make enough money soon where shipping is not an issue. But for now, it definitely is. Alright, question 5. Show an album that musically doesn't match the cover art. And I'm gotta go with Doom Dogs. This is their 2010 self-titled album. And yeah, just look at it. What does this look like to you? To me, this looks like some kind of hard rock band. Like kind of Winery Dogs. Like a bunch of washed up rock stars who are producing like pretty neutered hard rock. So, I found this, of course, in the used bin for $6 and was perplexed. And then I saw that it's out on High Roller Records and then was intrigued. And I'm glad I ended up picking this up. It is like classic heavy metal / doom metal with, a little bit of epic doom in there. I think of course, early Candlemass. And maybe some early Pentagram, too, comes to mind. So, I'm glad I did buy this, but initially I didn't want to. I kind of blame this sulking dude right there with his scarf and his fucking fedora. Almost didn't buy it because of him. Question 6. Who is a metal artist that you own the most items by? So initially I was thinking artist, and of course I immediately went to Rush. I've got way too much Rush. But then when we focus on metal, I landed on one of my all-time favorite bands, Converge. And of course, you know, metalcore, hardcore, I don't know, whatever. To me, it's heavy. There's screaming vocals. It's intense. I count it. I've got 5 of their records. Here's my favorite one of the records that I own. Maybe not my favorite album by them, but this is a double LP original copy of their magnum opus from 2001, Jane Doe. And then I've got all of their full lengths on CD. This is their original When Forever Comes Crashing with that crazy fucked up album cover. Of course, I've got a 7-inch or 2. This is Eve, which came out before The Dusk in Us. And then, of course, you know, I have a couple t-shirts. Gotta have that one. And I've got 2 flags. Jane Doe, of course, and then my other favorite album, The Axe to Fall. I've got a couple Converge items for sure. One of my favorite bands, have to. Alright, question 7. Show an album that you blind bought in 2023. And for this question, I'm literally going back about a week or 2 ago. I was at a local record store here in New Orleans. And I found a couple CDs for $1 that I couldn't help but pick up without ever hearing them. One of them is what we're listening to in the background. It is Zombie with their album Surface to Air. Think of this as like an instrumental, atmospheric, prog rock duo. Very keyboard heavy, kind of has that world building feel, and it's just good vibe music. And then this is another blind buy, an interesting one, Kindred Idol with their album Conscious in the Mud Vein. Interesting title. Came out in 1996, and this is like a weird sludge metal album which owes a lot of credit to Down, to Acid Bath, and you know, maybe Pantera in there as well, and probably the New Orleans sludge scene as a whole. As far as I can tell, these guys are from Ohio, so not necessarily related to that scene, but I don't know. I've listened to it a couple times. It's entertaining. There's good riffs. It's maybe a little simpler than, you know, what it would need to be to actually capture my attention, but for $1, it's worth it just to have a piece of odd metal history. Alright, then question 8. Show a title that you own on more than one format. So I could have easily picked a couple like classic rock albums that I have on CD, cassette, and on record. But I'm going to go with the only album that I have on both CD and on DVD. This is Neurosis with A Sun That Never Sets. And of course, this is came out in 2001 on Relapse. And I believe this came out the next year also. And this is supposed to be a visual accompaniment to the music found within. And it's definitely entrancing. I've actually not watched the whole thing. I've just kind of had a hard time finding the time to sit in front of a TV for the duration of a Neurosis album to watch a bunch of like creepy visuals and stuff. One day I'll get high enough to do it. Question 9, Bookworm, an album that is inspired by literature. I went with Eternal Champion and their debut Armor of Ire. This is no surprise here. Obviously, the name themselves is inspired by Michael Moorcock with his Eternal Champion series. But even in the individual track listings, there's some different inspirations from literature. The song The Last King of Pictum, track 3, is a reference to Robert E. Howard's Bron MacMorn character. There you go. And then the final song, Sing a Last Song of Valdez, which is absolutely epic, by the way, takes its title from the sword and sorcery tale of the same name by Carl Edward Wagner. I initially thought of just, The Eternal Champion, but was happy to find there was more literature influence there as well. Alright, question 10. Halfway there, and I'm taking way too long. Name a band that you would travel a considerable distance to see live in 2024. For me, this potentially could be Blind Guardian. They're doing a United States tour here coming up in April, I believe. And unfortunately, they're not coming close to New Orleans at all. But they're going right through my old stomping grounds of Charlotte, North Carolina on a Saturday. And goddamn it, is it tempting to go up to see Blind Guardian. I saw them once before in 2016, and it's one of my top 5 concerts for sure. So, getting the chance to see them live again would be up there. I'm still thinking about it. Alright, question 11. A Sour Grape, a 2023 release that I purchased enthusiastically but lost interest in. And I'm going to highlight Stoned Jesus. And I absolutely love this band. They're responsible for one of my favorite stoner doom albums in Seven Thunder's Roar. That track, I'm the Mountain, is killer. And I didn't own any of their stuff. So when I saw they were releasing a new album on Season of Mist, I went out and picked it up. And it's not the fun, lighthearted stoner doom that I was expecting or hoping for. Instead, it's kind of a little lackluster and boring. There's a lot of prog elements here, and there's not a lot of energy to be found. Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure I get where they were going with this album. I'm not done trying, though. Alright, question 12. The Golden Child, an artist that can't do anything wrong. And those are tough to come by, truthfully. But I do have one here that I, so far, celebrate the whole discography. And I am talking about Thou. A sludge doom band out of Baton Rouge, which they're extremely eclectic with their sound. I mean, calling them sludge doom is honestly doing them a disservice. They range from visceral, intense, sludge metal with some black metal influences all the way to post-rock and folk, and they love to collaborate with other artists as well. So to show their range, I wanted to highlight 2 of their albums. This is Tyrant, their debut, that came out on Gilead Media back in 2007. Amazing album, blueprint for a lot of bands that have come since, I feel like. And then this is one of their newest albums. It's a collaboration with Mizmor called Myopia. And this is just the most extreme I think I've heard Thou sound. They're really pushing the envelope of both black metal and funeral doom on this release. It's almost too much at about an hour and 17 minutes, but still fucking great. Still Thou. Everything in between also you should check out. Alright. Then we go from the Golden Child to the band that overstayed their welcome, and unfortunately, I'm picking a technical death metal band, Fallujah. Now, this was a band that I was super hyped on back in 2012 and 2013. I thought they were going to be the next big band to kind of recreate modern death metal and take it into the 2010s proper. And it was largely because of the hype of their debut, Harvest Wombs, but then also this EP, Nomadic. This is my favorite release by them. And then the follow-up to Nomadic, The Flesh Prevails, continues the upward trajectory, taking this sound to the full-length format. It really wasn't until 2016's Dreamless that, it felt a little boring, like they were just rehashing it. And then all of a sudden, 2019, the album Undying Light comes out, and they fully fumble this unique sound that they had, and just make it as boring as possible. And since then, I have not been able to really get back into them. Alright, question 14 with a different mic. An album that I bought in 2023 as a result of watching someone's YouTube channel. And I'm taking this back to the trip to Reno, Nevada, where I got that Running Wild album. I passed up on buying this release by Scanner because I thought it was too expensive. It was there for $15, and I was just not feeling $15 for a used CD. Fast forward later that evening, it was a Friday, and I happened to be on Heavy Metallurgy that night with Marty and Alan. And Marty essentially shamed me into going back the next day to buy this CD. And I'm glad he fucking did, because this is indeed a unique slab of German speed metal. Before, epic power metal was a thing. Tracks like Locked Out, Across the Universe, and Retaliation Positive easily carry the day and make me very thankful that I went back to buy this album based on Marty's continuous recommendations over the years. So, there you go. Question 15. An otherwise good album that ends up suffering from being too long. This has to be a Professor Steele question. But for my pick, I'm going with The Devil's Blood and their album Thousandfold Epicenter. So, I used to own this album, but I sold it, and I think it probably was because the song lengths toward the end of the album really just weigh it down. The release overall is an hour and 13 minutes long, and it does not need to be that long. Especially since the tracks in the beginning, a lot more hard rock oriented, and the tracks at the end, weird progressive dirges that wander. Devil's Blood, but still great album, and one I would rebuy if given the chance at the right price. Alright. Question 16, your favorite band t-shirt. So this is kind of a twofer. As far as just regular t-shirts go, I have to go with this Obituary Slowly Rock shirt. I love just this album cover. Probably one of my favorite album covers. And I just love the back print. I enjoy walking around in this t-shirt. And just seeing heads turn and stuff, It's the edgelord in me. Not even my favorite Obituary album, but easily the best album cover. Got this back when I saw them in 2014 when they were opening for Carcass. Now that was a fucking show and tour. And then for me, nothing beats a long sleeve. T-shirts are cool, but long sleeves are better. So I just want to show my favorite long sleeve too. Album cover for Transylvanian Hunger by Dark Throne. I like with long sleeves, you got, of course, the front and the back. But then you also got stuff on the sleeves. I love more when it comes to my t-shirts. Alright, question 17. A band that has been around for at least 24 years that you think is going strong and still creatively relevant. And I'm showing off one of my favorite 2023 albums and bands, Autopsy. And of course this is Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypts. Came out last year, and it really is my favorite Autopsy album of their new era. But then of course, you have to go back all the way to 1989 and listen to Severed Survival. Just as good. I mean, boom. That right there is 35 years coming up, and they are still bringing it. Question 18, your favorite band mascot? I know a lot of people, try to hide the fact that the best band mascot is this one, and went with other picks, but I can't help it. I'm going to go with the most obvious one of them all, Eddie the Head, Iron Maiden's mascot. It's fucking classic. He's classic. This is my favorite Iron Maiden album and maybe my favorite version of Eddie. The disembodied, cerebral, seventh son of a seventh son, Eddie, with the apple of wisdom for a heart, and God knows what that bowling ball thing is. But, yeah. Love Eddie. I got a poster of him right back there for a reason. Killer's artwork is a quick runner-up, too. That one and Somewhere Lost in Time. Question 19. Grab bag, a random pull from my collection. So I have a Excel spreadsheet with all of my CDs. I did the random number generator thing, and it popped up with number 1045 with Thorn and their debut album Crawling Worship. So this is a one-person death metal band with a lot of doom elements out of, I want to say, Arizona. And this deserves all the praise. This is like 25 minutes of pure, just pulverizing death metal. It's fun. It's simplistic. I recommend the closing track, Phosphorescent Glow. Final question. We made it. Thanks for sticking around. An album from a metal band that others might not consider metal. And I'm going to go with a 90s band, Clutch. And this debut, Transnational Speedway League, is very fucking metal. It's just a blistering bulldozer of heavy sludge riffs and Neil Fallon just shouting like a fucking caveman over top. Tracks like A Shogun Named Marcus, El Jefe Speaks, Binge and Purge. You can't go wrong with this one. And then even like on later stuff, here we got Elephant Riders, and I still think this is a great album that, I consider Clutch not necessarily a metal band, but this is their metal era, and I think it bleeds through even on this album. The Soap Makers, track 5, The Yeti. There's some heavy songs on here. Alright, well, I think that was enough YouTube for one day. Happy 2024. I'm excited to see what happens this year. Cheers to Marty and Alan and Metal Mickey. I'm excited to see what else everyone does with this metal tag.